Good evening. Senior Surah Singh speaking from Bharat, and this is 4th October. What Habitat Day on 5th tomorrow. We talk on this. Habitat Day. What Habitat Day? Background of this. What Habitat Day? 1986. It was commissioned by UNO. Little background is important. लाइट बंद कर दोगे इधर वाली, इसमें आ रही है. Yes, clear. So dear friends, this is Surah Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this 4th October 2020. I'm just talking about what Habitat Day, that is, what Habitat Day 2020, which is celebrated on first Monday of October, and this year it is 5th October. What's the theme behind this? Housing for all, a better urban future. This is what is given this year. It's a good one because habitation means just not housing. It should be eco-supporting housing where care of ecosystem is taken into consideration. Otherwise there's no meaning of that. It should be eco-friendly housing. Eco-friendly means environment is included in that. Sanitation, water supply, agriculture, arboriculture, ecosystem, pollution-free environment, all these must be included, or else there's no meaning of that. That's what is important. So definition of this in background is according to various reports, and this is I'd like to give you a brief history. This is World Habitat Day is marked on first Monday of October each year and is recognized by United Nations to reflect on the state of towns and cities and on basic rights of all to adequate shelter. This day is also intended to remind world that everyone has power and responsibility to shape future of towns and cities. World Habitat Day was celebrated in 1986 in Nairobi, Kenya, and theme chosen for that it was shelter is my right. Shelter is my right. So it was only shelter, not housing in fact. Well, it's 1986, 35 years back, this is May 2000. It's African country Nairobi, Kenya, and now United Nations General Assembly decided that this should be an annual event, and first Monday of October was chosen. This day is celebrated in many countries around the world, and various activities are organized to examine problems of rapid urbanization and its impact on the environment and human poverty. Annual theme for World Habitat Day has been diverse and have included shelter for homeless, our neighborhood, safer cities, women, urban government, cities without slums, and water and sanitation for cities. So this is definition of that, which includes it is shelter for homeless. No one should be homeless. This is in theory, as in practically if you see this is not right. You can see even US, you can see UK, other European country, you'll find hundreds and thousands of people homeless. So it's so 35 years of this commission of day, still people are without home. Our neighborhood, we have to see our neighborhood also. It's not individual as well. Our neighborhood, we have to ensure they are also having shelter. And safer cities is a question mark, because cities are no more safer. You can see whatever city, no safe traffic and no safe life, and even culture and society is also included in that. Women in urban government, as well as limited. Cities without slums is not possible, at least in our country and countries like Bangladesh, countries like China, many more countries, the slums are still in domination. Particularly in our country, in every metropolitan international city like Delhi, like Bombay, like many Calcutta, and you'll find more than 30-40% people are staying in slums. So can I say that what has been achieved is nil and zero? And water and sanitation facilities, it's very critical in many countries and many cities all over the world. Water and sanitation facilities are no more efficient at all, as UN Habitat makes plan UN Habitat makes plan need plans raise and avoid chaotic development of urban sprawls and all the associated problems that are created as a result. This is just reference. UN Habitat makes plain need to plant trees in order to avoid chaotic development of urban sprawls and all associated problems that are created as a result. Habitat destruction is one of the biggest threats. Habitat destruction is one of the biggest threats facing plants and animal species throughout the world. Loss of habitat has far-reaching impacts on planet's ability to sustain life, but even with challenges, there is hope for future. Means it's not simply human livings; it's also for all species that must have a right to live. But are they? Question is that all over the world we have to ensure maybe water body, maybe surface, or whatever body is. Habitat destruction defined as elimination, alteration of condition necessary for animals and plants to survive, not only impact individual species but health of global ecosystem. So this means very important line it is. Habitat destruction defined as elimination or alteration of conditions necessary for animals and plants to survive not only impacts individual species but health of global ecosystem. Habitat loss is primarily not not always human caused. Clearing of land for farming, grazing, mining, drilling, and urbanization impact 80% of global species who call forest home. So you can say reasons are even clearing of land for farming, grazing, mining, drilling, and urbanization is amount total of 80% of global species. It impact on them adversely. So you can say who call forest home. Approximately so far it's 15 billion trees are cut down each year. 15 billion. According to a study about tree density published in Nature, number of trees worldwide has decreased by 46% since start of civilization. Means that say approximately half. We don't allow survival of 50% or 46% of trees or arboriculture. In addition to loss of habitat, deforestation reduces ability to forests to provide critical benefit of absorbing carbon. Well, it says in addition to loss of habitat, deforestation means removal of trees reduces ability of forests to provide critical benefit of absorbing carbon, which helps to mitigate effects of climatic change. Now, situation is even worse in waterways, coastal areas, and ocean. Coastal estuaries and marshes provide breeding ground for majority of marine species, as they, along with inland wetlands and dredged and filled species, are less able to provide birth and support their young. Pollution and effluents from land travel easily through streams and rivers to ocean, where they impact health of fish, birds, and marine plants. Deforestation far from shore can cause erosion that enters water and deposits it into shallow marine waters, blocking sunlight that coral reefs need for survival. There's another reference given in the blog National Geographic org, etc. Now, let us consider various other issues regarding individual nations that are impacted upon by habitation directly or indirectly. Let's take case of Let's take case of, let us say we go one by one. Let's consider like USA for example, which is having about 33 crore 330 million population. Housing is not a major issue because USA is a very wide nation. We are having geographical location, and standard of living or housing is not that high as other countries are having, like Gulf countries, or like our housing is having much more higher standard than those people. Those people used to live in hutments and timber, or it is a part of cabins. So we cannot say that they are having criticality. They are having criticality of this problem, and this problem housing is this housing no major issue, keeping standards of living standards of living, and housing no major issue, keeping standards of living. Record कर रहा हूँ जरा. Housing no major issue, keeping standards of living. So you can say they may not face such a major problem as far as habitation is concerned, but other issues like extraction of petroleum products, mining, heavy earth program of USA, these such issues which are causing problem for habitation in those countries. Let's consider the case of United Kingdom. Housing is not a big issue. They are keeping at least quantity of people, or because the number of people living there in population is about 5 to 6 or 7 crore only, but area of nation land is also limited. So we can say they are also not having housings like big housing or plotted houses or multi-storied. So there is no major issue as such. They are too. And now we go to Europe. There is no major issue for citizens keeping nominal living standards of migrants from Africa, making an issue for resettlements, though the settlement could be temporary, say for decade. But question is, they are bound to help those refugees. They are bound to accept them. That's required according to European Union law regulations for migrants. And Africa, Europe are linked in this regard because these are located in front of each other. Africa keeping political and social instability issues, Africans migrating to European Union, causing domestic and EU stability for international requirements. Countries are not ready to receive them happily, but law forces them. They enter through Libya and go to Sicily or Italy and then Greece and some other countries, which is how. But this is a big problem. Millions of people are migrating from African countries, Algeria, Zambia, and like that through Libyan media. Libyan is a place from these people can move, and they reach Italy, Greece, etc., and etc. through ship. This is causing a major problem because this migration is not temporary. Actually, it may take years, decades for these refugees or these migrants to settle there. So this is causing a real problem of housing for European Union countries. Africa is causing a problem because Africa has very inefficient political and social system. They are affected people. They need some shelter, and shelter is also important to keeping this human factor. Now let us go to Far East problems do not exist as much as exist in other countries because now a gigantic scale like China is there, which is very well developed. As far as industrialization is concerned, Hong Kong, Singapore, you can say, Thailand, Philippines, and all those countries, they are not having that type of problem as also having. That's also a fact of that. So we should not worry about much on them. Let's consider Middle East now. Middle East countries like you can say Iraq, Iran, Libya, Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Palestine like nations do not face major issues as such due to various considerations of low population densities and affordable housing. Because of supports of respective governments, it used to happen that these countries having big areas, vast areas like Libya, like Iraq, like other countries, for example, Egypt, Lebanon, not having population too high. Similarly, Syria is a war zone now, but it was also like that. What? Israel is very small, Palestine is very small, like nations below 1 crore population in these, so they don't face major issues as such. Though Israel is grabbing land of Palestine, it can say stealing land of Palestine, and Palestine people are struggling for that. So due to various consultations, can say of low population density and affordable housing because of supports of respective government, there may not be any major issues in Middle East itself. There are so many countries in Middle East, and also Gulf countries are included. You can say all these countries, six countries of Gulf, you can say, for example, UAE and KSA Kingdom, Saudi Arab, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, like that. These countries are rich in money, they have resources, they have already developed their countries, and I don't think they need any kind of housing problem. They have to maintain themselves. So we should not say these countries are exposing themselves problematic, but they have different other types of problems of their natural environment. Now come on to Asia, which is the most important factor here. That's our country. That's Bharat, that's India, which is most important country. Most important country in addition to very other small countries like Bangladesh, like Sri Lanka probably. But we have to orient ourselves on problem of Bharat, India, that is facing shelter problem, that's facing, you can say, habitation problem. We are facing all types of such problems which are very immense in consideration. We have our problems. It's not new problem, it's very big problem because why are 130 crore people are more in population, and more population means more requirement housing. We are actually an agriculture based society. We still 70% people are dependent on agriculture, not on urbanized system. Rural economy still values highest. If you don't have rural income, Bharat, India, it doesn't exist, cannot exist. So we have to consider this fact very important. Let's consider certain statistics that I worked out. And these statistics are that, let's say, case of Bharat, India, facing vast magnitude of housing problem, which may take many decades to achieve full resolution. No determined political and national will exist at all currently. Forget political parties and all that, I'm talking in general. No determined political and national will exist. There may be any plans or futile. People managing inconvenience in cities and urban areas because of habitation costs being too high. Bharat, India has 130 crores or 1300 million population approximately. Criticality exists in cities and sub-cities or suburban areas, satellite towns, etc. 50% living in urban areas and rest otherwise. Let's seriously consider that expected population in urban and suburban areas be 65 crores or 650 millions. Now let us assume that, say, only 30% population in urban areas could avail habitation or housing, could be in slums or not so ecologically balanced yet be considered. I am going to say slums are the which are not worth for living, but practically they are living in bad system, in bad environment. Remaining 70%, say 45 to 50 crores or 450 to 500 million, do not have housing or habitation. They are living in rented houses or on footpaths or in chuggi colonies or hutments or somewhere else. That's not worth living for human being. We should not forget that lands can't be acquired unlimitedly due to must continuation of agricultural sector, which is a boon to our food. Keeping abreast agricultural issue, plotted housing schemes do not provide certain solutions, but vertical movement is a must. But that too in restricted way. Vertical movement means in a multi-stories is a must. We cannot simply depend upon plotted houses, because if we depend on plotted houses, we lose agricultural scope of land. That's a question mark here. We cannot spoil land that is to be used for agriculture. This will reduce production of crops. Now COVID-19 has, which is a very important point here, COVID-19 has caused a new problem or convenience of sanitary fixings for soil and waste pipe. Soil and waste pipe means plumbing system I'm talking, discharge from kitchen, discharge from WC, discharge from bath. This is called soil and waste pipe, which has to be taken out in plumbing system. And virus particles, the aerosol particles can move from one coordinate to other coordinates without causing any obstruction, and that can result in multiplying pandemic. And when I say aerosol means one particle in suspension that comes out of from whatever inhaled, exhaled a particle of this 0.00025 size of COVID-19. Now, common stacking generally used in such buildings. Common stacking, I mean to say, stacking means all floors having all floors having discharge through one soil stack, we call it. We should not forget. Sorry, COVID-19 has done it. Common stacking cannot be allowed, which means that number of stories cannot be designed for high rise if 10 stories or less are constructed with widened duct areas. Duct, I mean to say, open to sky some system. Widened duct means we should provide duct not as we do today. We should provide a size of duct which can support for not allowing sanitary pipes for more than 2 or 3 stories as a precautionary measure. We should not take all discharges from all floors, from all units vertically. We should restrict to 2 or 3 stories only, and take the, you can say, like plotted house. There is only 2 or 3 stories according to bylaws, and that doesn't cause this problem. This is not full-time flow, just once or twice that unit WC is used, a bath is used. So there are rare chances the aerosol may move from one location to other location. This means if one family of 5 in Islam, I'm just giving an estimate. This means if one family of 5 members is accommodated in one unit, we require 10 crore dwelling units, because I'm considering half population to stay in cities or urban areas, and 70% of that population does not have ownership of shelter or ownership of accommodation. We require 10 crore dwelling units, which means that 1 crore unit ground coverage in case of 10 stories or more, and if 8 stories are designed otherwise, then we can calculate. Let's consider 10 stories, ground coverage of not more than 30%. 30% means if you have 100 square meter area, only 30% should be covered, and 70% should be left for ecosystem or for greenery. Shall be allowed, keeping abreast good environment. Internal roads can also be charted out into internal system can also be charted out on the 70% system. Agricultural land should have to be provided every cost. So ground coverage should not be more than 30 to save agricultural land. Rural habitation has to be adjusted partly in fields and partly in villages. Partly in fields means partly in farming areas and partly in villages. You may say in every farmer can have small house in field. Now, significant point lies in construction of 10 crore units, because we need 10 crore units. It's not small amount, it's a big quantity. I say 10 crore I'm talking, which means 100 million. Considering 50 square meter coverage for each unit, which is nominal, could be lesser also, but when you say 5 members stay there, considering it's flat or apartment, it's not plotted house. Considering even in 25 square meter, if you give land to someone, that person can make 2 stories on that of cover. Considering 50 square meter coverage for each unit, 500 crores square meter, 500 crores square meter, or 5,000 million square meter coverage requires to be constructed. 1 crore units ground coverage is equal to 50 crores square meter is equal to 30% of land requirement. This means land requirement is 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 10, which is 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 17. This is 167. Say 170 crores square meter, or 7. You can say 1700 000 divided by 10,000 equal to 170,000 hectares land measures. So 170,000 active land measures are required for this activity to accomplish, and we have to add to this amount 25% for ancillary facilities, so that comes out to be division by 4. So 45,000 hectares land measures. Total requirement for basics equal 215,000 hectares land measures is a big one, 215,000. But this quantum work cannot be done in one go. Say this work is done in 10 years, which means 1 million ground units in 1 year. RCC element is 10 crores at rate of 0.5 meter equal to 5 crores cubic meter RCC. 5 crore cubic meter RCC. RCC means reinforced cement concrete. Reinforcing element equal to 0.5 crores tons. Formwork is equal to 15 crores square meter. Crores square meter. We require highest quality control and requirement applications on such vast constructions, which means our artisans and engineers must be trained and updated for latest controls, which in general they lack in. Factually speaking, slums must be removed and people must be resettled so that they can lead healthy lives, healthy shelter, healthy environment with all health, safety and environment provisions intact made in. Bharat India may not provide affluent living for all, but basic amenities must be provided. Those working in industries, including real estate, must be accommodated in nearby vicinity so that transportation issues are avoided. Congestion of population from cities must be reduced by moving them in satellite suburban areas so that ecosystem could be made better, could be improved. Densities of vehicles must be reduced to quite low level, because in Bharat India currently about 35 crore vehicles 35 crore vehicles, lakhs of generators and crores of air conditioners do work, which all add to pollution. Another cause of added pollution comes from all air conditioned trains and flights, which must be reduced. Non-vegetarian food must be avoided so that species continue to survive. These are only basic points I'm sharing with you. There are so many other points. Slums is very big issue in our country. Slums are existing everywhere in every international level of metropolitan city like Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, or all across Chennai. These slums add problems to existing problems. No water supply, no sanitary sewerage system there. This causes breeding of bacteria, water stagnation occurs. Systems are not efficient. If there are pipes laid, sewerage system laid, this is laid 50 years back or 40 years back, those have become stagnant and silted, and also there's a leakage of system from them because of stoneware pipes or some other pipes. We have to take all this into consideration while doing proposing for solution to housing or shelter, whatever we can say. This is very important point. Everywhere it happens, traffic on roads has to be avoided because traffic is cause of nuisance. So what should be done? We have to decentralize our cities towards satellite township, which is also like Delhi's NCR, which you can say National Capital Region, and there's Delhi is called National Capital Territory. So like that system, many other systems should be resolved. For example, Delhi includes part of Haryana, it is also part of Gurgaon and Faridabad, UP, Noida, and many other parts like that. Satellite township, NCR type regions must be developed. No question of smart city at cost of such polluting atmosphere. We can't allow people to live with good conditions, health conditions, safety conditions, environment conditions. How can people survive? They are already living in polluted air, and they are living in polluted air. Now question is of this pandemic, this COVID-19, which is going to survive long, and nobody knows when it shall end, and but we have no solution. Only this habitat day, when we call it what habitat day, we have to think from each and every aspect. Otherwise, there is no meaning of talking of this. If we have to just do formality for 10-15 minutes, giving a talks, presentation, and okay, fine, this is done, that's no meaning at all. We have to find concrete solution. We have to analyze every issue, and when an issue is analyzed, something is done. We have to avoid, traffic rules. We have to avoid as much we can walk as much as better. School now, digital world is okay, fine, they should continue. We should not again rush buses for schools taking children home back. No, not that alone. We have to digest many, inconveniences. Only then something can be done. Shelter is not easy. We have not simply physical shelter, it should be working shelter. Means we cannot say live lavishly, but even 50 square meter that I am considering for a family of 5 is not very lavish. Means you can charge them, it doesn't matter. I am not saying give them free, but position is we have to keep agricultural quantum of land intact. That's more important. We have to keep diversity intact. We have to keep spaces intact, and we have to provide facilities to humanity, to habitation, to population. We have to keep our animal stock also, cows and cows and buffaloes and camels and all those which are supportive to farming must be having different shelters. We must have infrastructure facilities for those. People always expose themselves. They are rigid towards change. But it's not in one day. It will take decades, and I said at least we should consider 10 years. Quantity is big. It's crores of cubic meters of work of concrete, brick work or block work, and it's not easy. For that we have to keep skill development also, because I am finding skills in artisans is very weak, skills in site people is very weak, skills in even engineers is very weak. Engineers coming out of university are not set to mark. They are not, you know, they are not educated up to practical level. And even those who are in field have been working for years. They haven't made up to that level practically. Theoretically, that's fine, it happens. Question is not theoretical, question is practical aspect. Engineering means practical. When I say engineering, it doesn't mean bending moment and shear force or analysis of forces. Main thing is we have to think how to find practical solution. We don't want to refer every time to this presentation or that presentation. We have to think exclusively unique. We have to find unique solution which fit into ourselves. That is most important. If we cannot find unique solution, there is no meaning of becoming an engineer. There is no meaning of becoming institution of engineers. There is no meaning of becoming, application of engineers. Applied engineering exists only when we think. So when I say organizational engineer means there is think and deliver, and there's a gap between thinking and delivering, and this gap is very long. This gap includes all disciplines of others engineering, electrical, mechanical, and others. Also safety, health and environment, along with ergonomics and quality criteria, not control alone. Understanding and establishing real system that works to our requirement, efficiently, cost effective, time cost, and quality, in addition to all other factors, make something, and that you can say complete organizational scope enters into this talk when you talk about this. Because when this kind of work is done, or financial arrangements are made, such project is taken up, it shall generate all other disciplines to survive, to thrive. That is very important point I am making. It's not simply a statement making. Statement can be made by everybody. I am talking of analysis. It means if you really want to solve problems, forget high rise, forget high facilities, leave them to 10% people because they can afford. Common citizen cannot afford everything. Problem lies for common people, not for riches. Plotted houses should be avoided because it takes, it gives a load on agricultural land, and that's not good for future. We need fertile land forever. So we have to link this urban and rural housing together. We cannot take in isolation that we enjoy in cities and those people in rural areas they do not enjoy. There's a clear connection between these two. That's very important point. And habitation means that we have to allow birds to survive. We have to allow milk stock animals to survive. We have to allow everybody poor middle class to survive. We have to see roads are adequately used. We have to see all other infrastructure is not overloaded as happens in NCR, happens in everywhere. There is no system at all. No system I have seen. There is no infrastructural, and if something is there, there is no well designed. There is no well accommodation for that. There is no more, we can say, efficient service for that. It is just delivered without considering quality system into that. There is no quality. People are not skilled. Masons, carpenters, helpers, welders, all of them must be skilled. Engineers on site must be skilled. Design engineers must understand that everything is not in design. We apply some time mind also to do better design. Everything cannot be done by stress analysis alone. We have to think something differently as well. Foundation engineering is very important in this part because when we construct 10-story building, foundation plays a role, very important role. Soil engineering plays very important role. We have to keep this into consideration. We cannot live like this. Means soil must be understood by every engineer. What is soil engineering? It must be understood by all people. We cannot ignore this very important part of engineering because if soil is bad, foundation is bad, and if foundation is bad, means whole building is bad. So we cannot take. I know I'm not talking something new, but even then, it's primary. It's first talk. It's we have to keep into our consideration each such point, or else there is no meaning left for talking of world habitation. When we can't solve it, we have to look into countries like Gulf, where they have done a lot work in housing and in commercial buildings and other infrastructures. They have taken safety factor into consideration. I have worked for 20 years or more in Middle East, and I know how they work. If I remember Iraq in 1981-82, I was there and I learned quality from there. I learned workmanship from there. I worked measurement tolerances from there. I did not learn anything specific from Libya, but when I joined GCC, I learned system of management from British applications. All system in Qatar was British based. Their specification excellent they had. Still they have QCS, this is Qatar civil specifications. And if you read chapter of that 5, which I already included in some talks, that is concrete, very good quality control. It's brilliant. You just do not even know what should be temperature of concrete, what should be the structure, how to cast massive block concrete, how to do all that. It's no criticism of our engineers, but it is a fact. I talked to many engineers of high experience. They did not answer this a small question. They did not even answer what should be curing temperature, what should be temperature of internal body of concrete and surface, what should be thermal gradient for that. These are very important points which impacts upon longevity or durability of concrete structure. Harder concrete is affected, but there's a lot difference. Let us say the internal temperature is too high and external temperature on the surface is too low. So there's a major surface surface thermal I'm sorry yeah, thermal gradient. And now question arises not only of concrete, which concrete we have to use. That's a major point. We still are depending on old thoughts, just 15% or 25% of you know PFA we add to OPC, and we are happy. We do not know basics of that. We have to replace up to 70% OPC by GGBS, that is called ground granulated blast furnace slag, which is very cheap. And we can also add microsilica in that, so up to 70% or even in case some 80% replacement of OPC can be allowed. OPC means 46 kilogram carbon dioxide is released by 50 kilogram of OPC, which causes tons and tons and tons of carbon dioxide released into atmosphere, into air, which causes pollution. We have to keep this in our mind. GGBS is available. We should use that. What's the problem with that? I don't understand. Out of my understanding, and I talk to many, no, no answer. We are using PFA. PFA is a limited property. It can be ground only to certain definition. It cannot be ground to demanded to required fineness. Required fineness is more important. Microsilica, you can say silica fumes, is very expensive. We may not use that, but we can use GGPS, and if we can use your silica fumes, fine. And another point is we do not control steel reinforcement. It's laid, rusted, otherwise people don't borrow. I'm so bother. Engineers don't bother. Unfortunately, it's very bad. There are millions of engineers in this country, and we are using rusted steel. Nobody raises any question why rust is allowed. That's the point. If we cannot control, then we should use epoxy coated steel. And if we can control, it's very simple. Polythene sheet can be covered where it is stored. No ground support is required. Just keep off ground. Cover with PVC, and when it is placed on site, cover with PVC. So simple it is. But who cares here? If steel is corroded, everything is gone. Concrete cover can be increased. You may say if you use GGBS, replace concrete, replace cement, we can solve many problems. Cracks can be avoided. Penetrate, it's like you can, of course, initial strength gaining takes some time, but it helps in long term. That is where I am very keen to share my views for my fraternity, that you have to change your rigidity, learn concrete technology, concrete temperature, how to control it in field, how to lay column and slab. Columns are laid, do not cast 1 meter, 1 meter. Full 4 meter height can be cast. Monolithic concrete is always better. As much as we do monolithic concrete, that is better for durability of concrete. Only point is that we should have good shutters. We should have good shutters, good resistance, having good moment of resistance, and that we have to fill in layers. Say we fill 400 mm, vibrate it, then fill 400 mm, vibrate it, and then fill 400 mm, vibrate it. Let us say 1/3 height is filled. Leave it there. Then go to other column. Do it, leave it there. Like that we can rotate it, because when column is filled complete height, it's 1/3 from bottom where resultant pressure lies in. So when we allow 1 hour or 2 hour, it's little solidified. So reduction of pressure is there. Same way, we should not directly place concrete by pump into beam that is always subject to bulging or opening if you do that. I'm just giving this technical point, though it's not necessary in this talk, but never mind, it's the important point. We have to check ourselves as far as quality of concrete is concerned. Concrete laying is layman job. No, it's not layman job, it's intellectual job. Those who consider this a layman job, their minds are layman. Because if design is excellent and your concrete is rubbish, is not excellent, what's meaning of design? Designer thinks I done excellent work, but layman works on site. So whatever good design it may be, it becomes a bad concrete, bad work on site. So efforts applied on designs do go waste. This point I talk to many people in many videos. People may mind it that he is blaming like that. It's not blame. If your design is not constructed in realistic way, there is no meaning at all. Money is wasted, everything is wasted, durability is not achieved, reliability is not achieved. Reliability is equal to safety plus serviceability plus durability. And if during fire concrete disintegrates, we have to see that factor as well. Why disintegrate? We have to keep surface and internal cohesion in such a way that even if external columns, external surfaces of columns or beams or slab are heated up for half an hour, they must have adequate cover or adequate fire coating, fire resistant coating that allows its survival for at least half an hour, 1 hour, so that there is no reduction of strength in external surfaces. Always fire moves from external surface into sectional inside. So we have to take that point into deep consideration while designing concrete, and if so required, columns can be given layered reinforcement as well. If suppose external portion is damaged, there's enough internal portion that may take at least vertical loads. Later on we will see how to re-strengthen that, how to retrofit that by jacketing or by something else. But during fire, if columns are safe, I think we can achieve a lot. That's very important point here, and I will not take much time on this because this too long discussion doesn't this technical talk exactly, and this I'm making it on FB because there's no other way. I link it to some other site, some institution site, so Faridabad Local Center AI, and to some other sites like LinkedIn or Twitter or Structural Engineering Forum of India, and I will do that for their reference. I'm making 1 day in advance because I am sick. I have no option just to pass my masses to world, to India, Bharat. What is this Habitat Day? I explained to you what it is, what does it mean. It started in 1986 and now it's 35 years. It doesn't matter Habitat Day or no Habitat Day. Every day is Habitat Day. When you make your house, it's for you celebration, habitat, your own habitation. So habitation is very big asset of every nation. We should concentrate on this issue with high degree of quality management, quality organization. Not simply saying we can do it. We have to learn it first and then do it. Everything in engineering is very complicated if you control it, and once you control it, you can then find comfort. Theory exists, designs exist, but quality of execution, quality of application, real one, which is delivery result, which is end result, if spoiled even by 20-30% lack of quality, you can say everything goes away, and that's where we fail. That's where we fall short of. And I think we understand what I'm talking. You too understand what I'm talking. It's simple case of maintaining mindset and how to deliver rightly, because engineering means delivery of products. Delivery of products means completed, serviceable and safe product. It must serve structurally, it must serve service wise, plumbing service, electrical service, mechanical service, elevator service, because when it is 10-story, elevator is a must. Fire suppression system also is a must. Yes, there is digital provisions and all that is there. Surveillance and everything must be there. All that is required there. It's not necessary to explain everything in this talk, but basics are safety, serviceability, durability, life of concrete. Life of concrete is very important, and we cannot say we can change material. When it is structure, means structure. We have to, no way out, no way in. You have to, we have to, as a nation, as states, as society, we have to. There is no way out. If we run away from that responsibility, we cause an error to ourselves. That's not a way. That should be done. We have to find unique way. Again I say unique way, unique thought, unique system. Method statement is very important here. I just forgot to share with you. We are very weak in method statements. Method statement is very important part of solve any problem. What you are going to do, we have to think what we write, is that right? Is that according to engineering systems? Is that according to working feasibility? Just like we say workability. Is whatever activity we write, whatever sequence we write, should be easy one. Easy in a sense, it should not cause any application problem on site. It should be worth doing. Easy for our skilled people, easy for everyone. That is very important point. Our people do not believe in method statements. I am not saying standard method statements. I am talking of specification method statements. How you want to do. For one activity, there can be 10 ways to do. Which one is best for you? That you have to decide. As far as technically it is correct, there can be no way we can reject it. As far as this is engineering wise correct, there is no way we can reject it. So method statement, say for example excavation method statement, piling method statement, it's continuous file or something like that. No precast pile is done these days, cast instead of piling is done. Then statements of foundations, statement of compaction, statement how to control all densities, or how to fill it, or how to improve soil, whatever it is, engineered soil or direct compacted soil, whatever way you go to shutter, whatever way you go to blind, whatever you applied application of waterproofing for protection of concrete from soil impact and water impact. Soil water mobility is a very big question mark in foundation. If it impacts, means it brings with it very fine particles, it brings with it salts and chlorides and sulfates, and that can impact other buildings as well due to flow, water flow. There is water, so it moves from one location to other location. without telling someone. You do not know what's happening below surface, but it happens. Not today. Maybe after a period of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, which can affect building. So we have to think on which foundation suits that one in such a situation. If there is soil water movement, we have to understand that point. That's very important point. This causes various issues, this causes problems, and if foundation is not controlled properly, it doesn't work properly. You know what happens. You know what happens. That's very important point here. We should understand that point very clearly. It's not that easy. Oh, you can say anything. No. Building means foundation. If foundation is not worth, building is not worth. It's not safe. And design of foundation is very important. Design of soil in conjunction with foundation is very important. We are not simply to say foundation transfers load to soil. It works in cooperation with foundation. Foundation and soil work together. That is very important point. If water particles carry with them soil particles, so there is no, you can say, no guarantee that foundation works successfully. We have to think a lot, and if required, soil improvement is a must. What is electrical resistivity of soil? What is thermal resistivity of soil? What temperature is there? How pipes shall be affected by that? How cables run underground can be affected by that? All these points are though detailed one, but carry weight. We have to give thoughts to these points. It's very important. That's the only reason I wanted to talk little elaboratively for this issue, which is very important one. I try to give message to you people of Bharat, India, as well as to world community. I try to include as much as practically possible, and my colleagues, my fraternity members must think of before just devising something. Because when we say shelter or habitation, this is not for 2 years or 10, 100 years. 100 years and maybe more. I don't know how many generations shall use that. That point is very important. And we can consider it. Engineering means thinking. It doesn't mean degree. Degree is requirement, but thinking is basics. If we cannot think, we are not engineers. Simply think and deliver. That is engineering. There are people who always stick to this code and that code. Who makes codes after all? Those people who never worked in field. Take something from here, something from there, something from BS, something from ACI, something from... No. Okay, they have different world, codes are different world. But application doesn't depend on codes. Field application does not depend on codes. It depends on your intellect, practical intellect, executive intellect. It depends on how you can manage, how you can organize. That is major point. Think and do. Think and deliver. Thinking, and we call it critical thinking. So you make it super critical thinking. That's where it's required. That's why I say method, statement, writing, which shall force you to think how best can I do. Time saving, how can I manage? Best quality, how can I do? How can I achieve best way? How many reduction of number of resources where mechanical system can work? How can it work? You have to experiment sometimes. You have to study time. How many minutes one pump boom takes, how many minutes restationing of that pump takes, how many minutes it takes to, you know, it takes to release all concrete, discharge or concrete from trans mixer, which depends on your element which you are going to pour. For example, for suspended slab, it's fast delivery. For columns, it's not. For walls, it's not. For massive block, it's very fast delivery, but for some other sections, not. We have to do everything like that as field study, ground study. We have to observe what compaction says, how does it work. We have to observe how water speaks with soil. We have to see how can you remix soil to bring it to granular status even if it's fine. We can, how much quantity more we can add to fine particles. All these we have to. There are methods for that. I'm not saying I am doing extraordinary on that. Methods are there. Soil design, you can say, how to mix different or how to add something to existing fill material or excavated material so that it acts in best way. Because if we convert clay soil or sealed soil to granular soil by whatever method, consolidation is avoided. Because compaction, we say compaction, but if it's granular, compaction helps. Consolidation is not required for long. It's equally compacted and consolidated if it's granular, because settlement is not expected in that. But if it's cohesive soil, settlement would continue for decades until consolidation is achieved, and that would impart stability of structure. Maybe you consider in 25 mm or 50 mm settlement, or what's guarantee? Who shall do research work on that? Who shall do? I was on LNG plant, and every week or 15 days they used to take levels from foundation to complete structure until filling. Who does in buildings? We never do. Did you ever go and see your building from this viewpoint? I am sure not a single case shall you find for that. So there are so many points. I cannot talk all points in this, already is 1 hour, and it's not good to waste more time. I will talk in some other video. Already I have many videos placed on, more than 500 videos of all subjects. So I would simply say, do not just celebrate Habitat Day, World Habitat. Just celebration is not enough. Utilization of this celebration is more important than presentations. I have seen presentations. What can someone give in 10 minutes, 15 minutes or 20 minutes? It's just repetitive and celebratory. Oh, it's no criticism, but it's a fact. So my dear colleagues, my dear friends and public members of this country and all over, I would wish you best accommodation, best habitation, best ecosystem, and best control of COVID-19. Very important. If we can't control it, failure of government exists everywhere. All governments have failed, but public government has not failed. Public government is real government. I am government, your government. Take care of yourself. Wish you all the best. I close this now. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Have good habitation. Bye bye.